Hi everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my weekly vlog series, Live Your Dream. So this is where I share whatever I'm learning so far in my journey as an artist, as a voice coach, as a person who's all about pursuing whatever it is that really matters to me and living a life around doing what I'm passionate about, and ultimately creating a worthy and meaningful purpose for myself, such that at the end of this lifetime, when I look back, I can say that I really lived a well-lived life and I don't have any regrets not pursuing the things that I always wanted to. So this is my greatest wish for every single person, because I believe that every single person has a dream, and I think it's really a waste if you don't if you don't just take steps to try and make something of it. At the very least, you try, and then even if you don't succeed, you can at least say that you have tried, right? Which is better than just not even trying at all. So that's one of the beliefs that I have and one of the principles in the way I live my life. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So today I wanted to share about the importance of showing up. And this is coming from my own personal experience of something that I'm starting to realize really recently. So last week I shared about how I've been drawing fairy penguins every single day, well, almost every day, 2 fairy penguins a day, as a way of going on this journey of mastery towards, honing my skill set as an artist, because I'm a self-trained artist, so I never went to art school, and so I'm kind of making up now for the lack of training. So one of the things too that I started doing is reading Mastery by Robert Greene, and I just started on this book. I think I just finished like the second chapter, where it had a lot to do about the apprenticeship aspect of the journey, the apprenticeship phase of the journey towards mastery. And this has a lot to do with a person exploring their path and basically learning whatever skill sets they need in order to continue on the path. So what I learned from this chapter, at least the impression that I get from it, is that it's not so much about like what I'm doing, drawing fairy penguins every day. It's not so much about doing that for the entire journey of you wanting to become a master, but it's more of, along that journey there are many different stages, and in each stage there are also like smaller stages. So like right now, one of the things I'm doing is drawing fairy penguins, but I realized another important part of my journey to becoming a master artist is also about learning how to interact with the art world, and learning how to interact with the people who are a part of that art world, and at the same time also learning more about art, which isn't necessarily just about sitting and drawing fairy penguins, but also studying paintings, going to exhibitions, and really taking the time to observe artworks and analyze them and start to think about them from from like an analytical perspective, more than just oh, this looks really amazing and I love it, but to actually be able to explain why I love it, to be able to use art speak, basically, at the risk of sounding like a snob. Yeah. But anyway, what I'm really excited to share about is, I came to this realization that part of the process of us, going on this journey of our dreams is not just about developing your skill set, it's also about showing up where it is important for you to show up. And this is kind of, I don't exactly know how to explain this in a very generic sense, because it is going to be different depending on the path that you're on. So I can really only share from my own experience. And so for me, being an artist, part of the places that I needed to show up in, which I hadn't been doing for the past few years, is showing up where there are art events or where there are art exhibitions. I tend to do this thing where, I show up because it's something that looks interesting, something that I think, I'm interested to find out more, and that's why I show up. And that's totally great, to stick to your preferences and what you already like, as a way for you to decide what kind of events you want to go to, because otherwise you're just going to be going to all these events and there's no end in sight. So what I want to share is that, when it comes to showing up then in terms of your journey towards, mastering something or just living your dream, you want to be clear also about why you are showing up, and that would then determine and help you decide where to show up at. And so for me as an artist, one of the things that I realized is that I needed, because I don't have my basic foundation as an artist, I needed to build that. And other than reading books, other than working on my, drawing skills, part of that process is also to go and learn from other artists who are further down the journey than I am. And what better way to do that? I mean, one way is to learn from the master artists of, the greatest artists of the 20th century or the 19th century or whatever, because then you learn about the different genres and how art evolved over history. But in this case, because I'm an artist living in the now, and living in this century, the 21st century, then I think all the more it became important for me to really start looking at what is contemporary art right now. What are artists creating conversations around? What are they, what kind of topics are they bringing up that is relevant to today's day and age? And so that's why it became important for me to start going to exhibitions. So it's not just visiting museums, because museums, it's more like, the past, stuff that all has already come and gone. And where, to look at what is current and what is updated and whatever is going on right now, the best thing to do is to go to art exhibition openings. And in the past, I used to do that. I used to go to a lot of art exhibition openings back in like 2015, 2016, because I thought that I wanted to pursue more of a fine art kind of career. And this was before I started painting my murals. And so I was exploring that phase of what it would be like to be a fine artist. And at that time when I went to these gallery exhibitions, a lot of it was with the intention of wanting to get myself, into an exhibition with a gallery, which I eventually did in 2017. I did my first duo exhibition with a gallery here in Singapore. But, I got tired from that process after a while, because for one, I was basically just going to every single event, and I wasn't really choosing which ones I wanted to go to. And some of these galleries, they weren't exactly a right fit for me at that point in time where I am in my career. But because I had the mentality of I needed to get an exhibition here somehow, someday, it comes from a place of trying to get something out of the experience, which, not that there's anything wrong with wanting to get something out of the experience, but it's more like I wasn't clear about what I was doing it for. And part of it is also because as artists, our journey is kind of, when it comes to our personal work, it's not something that you can just decide that, oh, it's time for me to do an exhibition this year. Like, that's not how it works. A lot of times we have to start with the artwork first and see what it wants to emerge from there, and what form is it going to take, and then we decide how we want to showcase it, because it may not be an exhibition, it might be a different form altogether. So then at this stage of my journey, coming back to, working on my skill sets again, coming back to studio work, because at the moment it's not really convenient to go out there and paint murals because of COVID, I started to realize that one important part of my journey was to still show up at art exhibition openings, because this is my opportunity to learn from other artists who are a bit further down the road, further down the journey of mastery, how to create different works, and also to get to know who are the people who are active in the art industry, and not because I want to get a show, not because I want to get art sales later on, but more because I want to learn from them why is art something that resonates with them, why is art relevant. Like, it's really just part of the education process for me to learn more about art and learn more about the industry that I want to be a part of, so that I can know what are the rules here and how can I play by the rules, and then also important thing as an artist, how to break the rules. So it's really about a learning experience, and showing up is important in that sense, because it is about learning something. It is about opening yourself up to opportunities. It's about opening yourself up to new ideas, to a new perspective, to something that you otherwise would never have seen. And what I started to see also is that it's not about, okay, when I show up to this event, I need to talk to like 10 different people, because that was a goal I used to set for myself years ago when I went to these exhibitions. And then I would feel bad if I didn't do that. I would feel bad if I didn't talk to anyone because I chickened out, or I would feel bad that, oh, I was so awkward trying to approach this person to talk to them. And now I start to see that it's not about going and then setting yourself a target of like, I'm going to talk to this many people, but it's really just about showing up and just being present and just going with the flow of things. It's really just about showing up. It's just about showing up and just being there. And when I say showing up, I don't just mean, okay, I'm here, like, and then go through the motions of like, haha, make small talk and whatever. No, I mean like show up, like fully show up, like 100% be there. Like, don't look at your phone, be present to what's going on around you, be open to, having conversation with people if that opportunity arises. Like, don't try to force something to happen, but just be there and be open and, be friendly. And just be there. It's like, that's what I'm starting to see now that I didn't get before, because I always went with an agenda. And now I know that, well, I'm still going with an agenda, but in this case, the agenda is just to learn and to just be there and to just be open to different ideas and possibilities and opportunities. And I do want to share one thing that happened when I did this years ago, was that in 2018 when I went to an exhibition opening, and I ran into an artist that I had met on other occasions. So we had we caught up a little bit, and I was telling him, he was asking me what I was working on. I said I was a little bit uncertain at that point in time what to work on and what my art is really about. And then he asked me, have you ever thought of doing an artist residency? Because this is where, you take time away from your life here and you go and you have a space and you have a different environment, and maybe something might actually come up. And because he said that, that was when it reminded me that, oh my gosh, years ago, I wanted to do an artist residency and I just never felt like I was ready for it. And because now he talked about it and he shared his own experience of one of the residencies that he went to, I decided to just apply to a few and see what happens. And because of that, I got accepted into my very first artist residency in Spain, and then that's how the first Dream Tree mural came about, and that's how Project 100 Dream Trees came about. So if I hadn't started going to art exhibitions, if I hadn't met this artist a few times before, and then I wouldn't have had that conversation about residencies, and I wouldn't have applied, and the rest is history basically. So what I'm saying is that, whatever your dream is, it's not just about doing the things that would get you, that would build your skill set directly towards achieving that dream. It's also about showing up to the different events, opportunities, social gatherings, exhibition openings, like these kinds of events that allow you to learn more about the environment of what your dream would be like, especially if it's something that you want to build a career out of. Then it's really important to understand what is the playing field like, what are the rules like in the establishment, what in the industry, and who are the different players in that industry, and approach it with the mindset of you're here to learn and you're here to be fully present and to be open to anything that could possibly come from this interaction just by showing up, and not to expect that you would get like some magical result or whatever, but it's just to be open and just to be there and to be fully there and to see what you can learn and what you can gather, and what kind of new ideas you could get as a result. So if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos, and I will see you next week.